Hello and good morning, everybody. This is my applied assignment. I am Kelley, or Alyssa Kelley, and I am so excited to dive into it. So, a little introduction here. We have our pre-work, which is my topic, my why, prior knowledge, course materials, and my research. Research is showing you guys all the data, showing everything that I found throughout my processes, and really just diving deeper. My new learning, what I learned, the evidence connected to the course, materials, and topics, and my continued inquiry, which is new questions, how you will learn, or me, and my questions for you all. So pre-work as we enter here. So my topic is families of individuals with disabilities. I believe that home is your first source of either support or disregard. Caregivers/parents are your first advocates, supporters, and teachers. And how stable the support system is at home is a huge indicator to how children will learn to take on the world. Aspects of inclusion here are education and home life. I plan to touch base on both. So I'm going to be interviewing the beautiful Barbara B here. I knew her from Starbucks. We have worked together for a really long time, and Barb has key knowledge as a parent with a child with autism and as a former special education aide. So she was a one-to-one. My experience as a family member of a person with disabilities is vast. My younger sister, her name is Katrina. She has a genetic disorder called Turner syndrome, so she is developmentally a little behind, and physically, she didn't quite hit the milestone, so she ended up having to go on growth hormones and um, estrogen, a lot of other things to kind of get her to where she is today, 24 and amazing. So we had a really close-knit relationship as children. I remember really having to navigate her special education journey. We really had to push for her to get exactly what she needed in the school system. And honestly, that home life and the extra things that were needed to give her, an environment to thrive, were really a challenge. So I have a little background knowledge in that, but I'm not really familiar with how New York functions in regards to children with disabilities. So we're going to dive in deeper with my beautiful friend here, Barb. My course material, so I'm using Equity, Parental Caregiver Power, and Disability Policy in the U.S. Context, International Journal of Inclusion and Education. So the author here touches base on the disparity between white families and their children receiving the accommodations they need versus families of color, which I think is really important, especially with my interviewee. We're going to touch base a little bit on that. And then the myth of the culture of poverty. That one always gets me a little tongue-tied, but I think it's a really valuable resource. So this article touches base on the roots of the culture of poverty concept and the real culture of classism. That's a keynote. I believe that touching base on the root of the issue and dealing with poverty, especially as my interviewee is a single mother of color, this gives really valuable insight to what we're looking for here. So my research. Conversations with families of children with disabilities, insights for teachers understanding. So all of these will be cited in my resources thing, so we can see, who wrote them, how you can find them. I think they're really valuable materials. So this book is specifically written for educators navigating dialogues with families who have children with disabilities and deeper insight. This e-text has some good material for my topic, as my interviewee is not only a parent advocating for her child, but also a former special education aide or teacher. She has experience and knowledge from both angles. So I think that's a really cool thing to kind of look at from both sides. My next research point here is parental stress in families of children with disabilities. So this article talks about the stress of parental units with children with disabilities and the implications. So that is something I'm going to touch base on here in a second. So here is my evidence. I am going to play a portion of our interview because I think this was kind of a valuable part, and I want you guys to hear it. It's not very long.
Autism, how are you fostering a sense of support for him at home? Like, what do you do to really support him?
Well, it's more so in the patience. I try to have more patience with him because I know that his brain does not function the way an average 10-year-old does. And I try to love on him more than anything, because I know that he doesn't understand a lot of things that I try to, implicate, and certain things like socially, he's not really like all there. So I try to. Most of the support is more basically like being more patient with him
Yeah.
and understanding where like how he operates, basically.
For sure.
Yeah.
Love. Okay. So I know we work together now.
Yeah.
But you have mentioned that you were a special education teacher in the past. How was that experience for you?
Well, I was more so like in the just like a one-to-one with a child with developmental disabilities.
Okay.
And at first it was, I didn't think I could do the job, because I know that all the hard work that I had to put in with my son. So I didn't think that I would have the same thing with someone who I'm not related to.
Yeah.
But then when I actually started doing it, and I said, oh, this is, it's actually helping me. It's teaching me to have even more patience, you know what I mean? Because I can't treat someone that's not my child like my child.
Yeah.
So it definitely helped me, like, be more patient, and not to, hold on to things, and understanding that every day is a new day. It's a new everything. So that's pretty much what it was. I actually, have a liking to it now. Like, it's like it actually opened my eyes to a lot of different things. So,
That's
yeah.
amazing. Okay, next question. And this kind of circles back to what you were just saying. Did you find that your time in the school system kind of helped you find ways to navigate your own son's journey? Like, do you feel like there was any...
Yes, it actually helped me to like understand that every autistic child's not the same, and every autistic child has a unique ability to them. There's some that has like exquisite memories, like they remember every single detail.
It's amazing.
Yeah, there are some that that knows how to like put certain things like together, like differently, you know what I mean? It was just really nice to see, like, okay, well, it's not, my son is not the only one that like has something. Every child has something different, you know what I mean? So yeah,
which is like a relief and also like scary, 'cause
yeah,
it's like, okay, not one thing is gonna work for every single
right,
child.
exactly.
Barb also goes on to say that because of her circumstances, she has a harder time finding like social services that are gonna really work hand in hand with her, especially in the community that she is in. And sometimes medical providers don't listen as much as she would like about the adversities that her child is going through, essentially. So I just thought that was a really nice little clip and it gives a good example of like home life with a child who happens to be on the spectrum or with disabilities. So we continue on here. Ooh, new learning. Sorry, guys. Didn't mean to do that. So our new learning here, as far as inclusion goes, and I'm gonna try to be a little quick about this because I know that we are in a time crunch, but stereotyping can be a direct hurdle to inclusion, and we've seen this. Disproportionately, this affects lower income families and families of color. Um, let's create a learning environment that focuses on inclusion. This looks like making school involvement accessible to all families, even families with a single working parent, um, making sure that the parents can be there and be involved. It's a really big key. Educating our educators and students on race, poverty, and differing abilities. Things are a lot less scary when we know about them. Ensuring that learning materials do not stereotype any group of people. I grew up in Idaho. Our education system is not the best, and I feel like that could have been improved in my learning experience, really, and especially for my sister growing up with disabilities, that was something that we really struggled with. We'll continue on to equity. So, in my interview with Barbara, she mentioned being a single mom to both of her children. In this circumstance, her patience and understanding for her son with autism created a sense of equity in her home. While her son may need more resources, both of her children receive exactly what they need to thrive. And I think that is just a really beautiful thing. Love you, Barb. Um, as far as access goes, the stress of parental units, particularly those single parents or parents of children with disabilities, directly affects the development and well-being of the child. Um, having a stressed parent is stressful for a child. And being in a situation like this is inherently stressful. So, what we need to do is create access to support systems for caregivers and providing education on coping strategies for stress. This can aid in the behavior and personal connection between parent and child, which is so vital in their development and upbringing. Continued inquiry. So, now I want to know what I want to learn is how, as a future parent and educator, I can make a difference in my home and in my classroom. We're entering my fertility journey now. We're going to be a parent soon, and you never know exactly what that's going to look like. And I want to ensure that my home and also as a future educator, my classroom is a safe space that everyone can thrive in. So, my plan of action, I will continue to keep an open mind and listening ears to those who need to be heard. I will continue to read, educate, and diversify my understanding regarding inclusion. It's an everyday journey for me. And I will continue to vocalize the needs for accessible and inclusive environments. So, question this is a question, and this may seem personal, but if you were to have a child with disabilities, how would you foster support, inclusion, and the ability to thrive in the society? So, what would you do as a parent yourself to ensure that your child has everything they need to succeed? I'll leave us with that one. Thank you so much for your participation today. In this presentation, I covered a portion of education and home life with a child with disabilities and what I have learned in the process, as well as my own personal experiences. So here are my resources. I'll move my little head here so you can see all of them. Um, and I dug deep a lot into, my own experience as well, but I think these are all really valuable resources. And thank you all so much for being here today. You have a beautiful day, okay?